What's going on, y'all? Attorney Tom here. In today's video, I'm going to be providing analysis for the Ace family's house foreclosure situation. And forgive me, I'm going to jump around this video, going to the parts that I think are most important, starting first and foremost with the type of loan they got. Okay, so I'm going to play this clip. I want y'all to listen to what she says, and then we are going to talk about it.
Into a home, you get a lender, right? So you get a lender, and that's like how you pay your mortgage, right? So a lender is usually like a bank, and then you usually get like pay your mortgage for like 30 years, right? So we ended up getting a jumbo loan, right? One of the reasons why I said that the realtor screwed us, this is how he screwed us, right? So he screwed us because when we were signing and getting the house, when we were buying the house, he said, I'm gonna be able to get you a loan for this much. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good, like that makes sense. And he's like, yeah, like this is all I can do, right? So at the time I was like, okay, like let's do it, right? Like we can afford that, like that's great, and that makes sense because, you know, why wouldn't you put money into real estate? Like eventually if we ever wanted to sell this, it'd be great. And the house was evaluated at the time at like 15 million. So I was like, okay, that's cool, right? He got us a loan and ended up being double the price that I was going into it. Like I was like, he showed us the new loan and he was like, this is all that the lenders could do. And I literally almost had a heart attack. I was like, oh my God, like this is so expensive, but you know what? This is my house. I'll just pay it and then it's gonna last for 18 months, right? So the loan was 18 months.
That is the key. 18 months. Let me tell y'all about this type of loan. It was totally improper for Catherine to say that this was a jumbo loan. Actually, I shouldn't say improper. I should say under-inclusive. All a jumbo loan means is that it was for a lot of money. I think it classifies as a jumbo loan so long as the loan is over $550,000, give or take. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. There are jumbo loans that qualify for 15, 30-year traditional mortgages. This was a hard money, interest-only loan. Hard money, interest-only loan. Let me explain what that is. In a typical hard money interest only loan situation, the borrower is usually paying between 10 to 12% interest plus some sort of origination fee or points on top of the original loan. And the loan is generally only for a term of 12 to 24 months. Here, this was a hard money interest only loan for 18 months. So you pay monthly the $70,000 a month mortgage, which just covers the interest on the loan. And at the end of the 18-month term, this family, the Ace family, was supposed to pay the entire outstanding balance on the loan. Generally, hard money interest-only loans are used by house flippers who take out a loan. They're only going to pay interest. Yes, they're going to pay a ton of interest, but it's going to be cheaper than paying interest and equity if you're only going to be holding on to the house for a short amount of time. And then they sell the house before the balloon payment comes due. These loans are consistent with houses that are not ready to be moved in. So what this tells me is that the Ace family knew or should have known that the house wasn't ready for them to move in when they bought the house. And then that brings in a whole mess of other problems. I'm not forgiving the contractor for allegedly screwing them, but what I'm saying is that if they wanted a house that was a finished product, this was not the house for them, and this was not the loan product for them. They took a loan that is consistent with them taking on the burden of finishing the home. And I'm not trying to be mean or rude to the Ace family, but you don't just fall into a $10 million jumbo loan. You sign tons of paperwork. The bank does a ton of due diligence, or the lender does a ton of due diligence. You know what you are getting into, or at least you should know what you're getting into. So I would be hesitant to say something to the effect of the lender screwed them. Like I said, that you don't just get one of those loans. They don't just appear out of nowhere. They agreed to this loan. And if they weren't in a position to understand what they were getting into, they need to surround themselves with financial advisors who do. So I hate to do this to them right off the bat. The Ace family, they're getting a knowledge hammer. Just you got a loan consistent with fixing up a house. The second issue I want to talk about is the contractor. According to the Ace family, the contractor for their house essentially gave them a lemon. The roofs leaked when it rained, somebody used the restroom, or they took a shower. The floors started to buckle, the doors started to warp, and the pool did not have any sort of retention wall, and they were legitimately afraid of the entire pool collapsing. What can we learn from this? Let's watch.
Austin to basically be interested in the house, right? The guy who was there every day, he was not a licensed contractor and he was using someone else's contracting license, and we were unaware of it for 2 years, okay?
Okay. Yeah. The Ace family bought a house that was constructed by an unlicensed contractor, or I should say at the direction of an unlicensed contractor. Apparently they used somebody else's license. If they used somebody else's license, the person whose license they used could potentially be held liable for allowing or agreeing to perform work under somebody who was unlicensed. But hiring a licensed contractor is important for a number of reasons. First and foremost, they probably perform better quality of work. Second, insurance. It is extremely important to hire somebody that you can sue. Let me say that again. Hire somebody that you can sue. And I know that sounds scary because generally lawsuits get a bad rap. But when things go wrong, you want somebody who has the ability to fix it if everything goes to hell. And the way you fix things if everything goes to hell is by suing them, getting their insurance involved, and having their insurance pay you so then you can pay other people to fix your home. And this is a problem that the Ace family runs into later in the video.
Yeah, we lost millions of dollars down the drain. Yeah. Nothing, zero. So for everyone probably wondering like, oh my God, my mind is so blown right now. Yeah. Like, why are you guys suing these people? Yeah. Like, what's going on?
So we were thinking about how to go about this situation because there's so many people involved, and the builder, who is like the main piece of this whole situation, we were doing our research, and come to find out, he was basically going bankrupt and he didn't have to his name. So a lot of times you can't sue anybody if they don't have anything, because it'll just be pointless and we'd be losing money.
He actually paid all his...
There you go. Next, Austin talks about research. He found out that the builder was essentially bankrupt during this research. However, research is always better if you do it before you enter into the deal, before you buy the house, before you take on this loan. On top of that, even after you agree to buy the house, while it is an escrow, generally you send out an inspector to look at the property, and they give you a detailed list of what will need to be fixed, so then you can negotiate the price accordingly. And guess what? If the home inspector is negligent and they don't properly report the underlying issues with the house, you could absolutely hold them responsible. It is somebody you can sue. If the home inspector says this house is good, you move into this house and it sucks, it's a lemon, and you have to spend millions of dollars of your own money fixing it, well, you could very well make the argument that you would have never bought the house if the home inspector came out and told the truth or did their job. But going back to the hard money interest only loan, these loans are consistent with people who are meant to rehab and flip houses. So it is likely, or I should say it is a possibility, that the Ace family never got a proper inspection because they were going to get the inspection after the hard money interest only loan was over and they refinanced their house, or at least that was their plan, I think. But that goes back to the original issue. If that was their plan, then they knew the house was not ready when they moved in. So there are some huge inconsistencies that I'm seeing. And again, I'm not trying to be mad or rude to them. That's just what I'm seeing. And finally, let's talk about what options they have moving forward.
The first step is, once the original lenders said, screw you guys, we're out of here, then we were trying to figure out who was going to be able to carry our next loan. But since we didn't have the certificate of occupancy, we were unable to get a loan. Like, no one wanted to get involved because the house was just so screwed. So now, goes to you of, once the house went under foreclosure, once it went up for sale, once we sold the house, it went like the lender, the original lender, end up buying it back.
Okay, so
right?
let me explain it. Yes, of course.
So confusing.
Yeah. So, okay, so this is what happens. So once it goes into foreclosure, then like someone can buy it, right? Like usually like a bank will buy it, right? Because the bank, why do they buy it? They buy it because it's an investment. They can make money on their money, right? So the lenders who lent us the loan for our mortgage, they said, screw you, we don't care about your 70K a month, right? We're gonna buy this bitch for 10 million.
Yeah.
Yes, they don't care about your 70K a month because it was an 18-month term and that term ended. Secret time. Lenders and banks are not your friend. They don't care about you. All they care about is making money.
Okay, we're gonna buy it. That's what it was. That's what the house was selling for 10 million. So they figured, like, let me buy it because it'll save me money. And anyways, like, I'm gonna flip this house and make X amount because we just got an appraisal just a couple months ago when all this shit was going down. Our house is worth $16.5 million. Right.
And this brings me to the next point that I wanted to talk about. If they had an appraisal for $16.5 million on the home and they only owed $10 million on the mortgage, they had every opportunity to satisfy the mortgage. Meaning, if they wanted to come up with $10 million, I don't know how they would do that. Obviously, that's the issue, right? But if they wanted to come up with the $10 million, they could have paid off that mortgage and then sold the property for $16 million. So it's not like they did not have the opportunity to do exactly what the lender did. And y'all don't want to keep talking about this over and over again, but this all comes back to the hard money interest only loan. The 18 months expired. The balloon payment was due, which was the remainder of the balance. They thought that the house was going to be fixed by then, so then they could refinance to a traditional loan. They couldn't do that, and they got screwed. But it's not like it came out of nowhere. That is literally what they signed up for, and that is the consequence of not paying the balloon payment, is the foreclosure. So final thoughts, did the Ace family get screwed by everybody involved in this real estate transaction? Well, no. I would find it hard-pressed to blame anybody but the builder and the Ace family themselves. Yes, the house was clearly not the quality that they were expecting, but the type of loan they got was consistent with somebody who is going to rebuild or rehab a house. And when you take on that liability or risk, this is exactly what could happen. If the Ace family wanted something that was not going to go turn into a lemon, they should have bought a finished house with proof of occupancy and all of that kind of stuff. And they took out, again, the hard money, interest only payment. Extremely risky. I just hope it's something they can learn from, and I'm hoping something that y'all can learn from, or we can learn from. All right, my goal is always to make content worthy of your time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
He's a catastrophic injury attorney who accidentally became a YouTuber. Attorney Tom.